All right, everybody. Hello, hello. So, we have 2-week-old kits, and David and I are working on grow-out pens on the cheap. So, we have been using these 50-gallon totes, as you can see, and they're getting a little small for everybody. We'll probably still keep our buck, who is in this one. He's pretty content. He'll probably stay in here, but moms need to get out, preferably this weekend, as you can see. Oh, so excitedly, the babies are starting to explore outside the nest. We have one that I've nicknamed Curious George, because he is definitely exploring outside the nest every day now. This is just a 10-foot roll of 1/4 inch hardware cloth. And we got this idea from our compost bin. So we also sort of did our quail in a similar fashion in regards to the deep litter method and the tarp at the bottom. So we're gonna see how this goes. So far, so good. The only thing holding this together, this is a full row, we didn't cut anything. We crimped, one edge came crimped, we crimped the other edge, and then we put the factory crimped edge right here on the inside so they wouldn't cut themselves. And then we just zip tied it together. And for winter housing, this is gonna be fine. It's tall enough, this is a 3-foot roll, 3 foot tall by 10 feet long. It is tall enough that, oh, see, we have a ton exploring now. Mom is kind of getting used to the new space. It's tall enough, I'm not worried about them jumping out of here. I don't think they can climb out because if you look, if you put any weight going inward, it just collapses. But it doesn't pull up. So 2 things, these holes on this hardware cloth being a 1/4 inch. What we tried it with that cage right there was our, sorry, forgive the zooming. That cage was a prototype. I didn't cut it long enough, and then we used our non-pregnant bunny to figure it out. And she determined for us that the spacing was too big because she could easily put her mouth around it and then lift it up. Now, when we tried it, we didn't have bedding in it. I just put it on the grass. But doing this with the smaller holes, as you can see, she can't really lift it up. And then you have the weight of the deep litter pushing it out. So it's not going to collapse inward unless they try to climb it. So we're very happy with this wild experiment. This is literally the first 10 minutes, so hopefully it keeps going well. And we have some space. Now we are saving and working toward traditional wire hutches for our breeders. Our grow outs will eventually go on to a rabbit tractor since they'll be on the ground for such a short time. And we have plenty of grass for them to be on. But as a temporary solution that doesn't cost a ton of money, this works very well for us for now. And I hesitate only slightly to say, and you can see my dog Apollo is quite interested. I hesitate only slightly to say that it wasn't super expensive. We had the zip ties. We bought this tarp, which we bought the tarp bigger than it needed to be. And the tarp is both so that their urine in the deep bedding doesn't seep through into this asphalt floor, because I think this is asphalt. And so that when they dig, because they're gonna dig, they hit the tarp. Then if they dig through the tarp, well, this is a heavy duty tarp. They've earned a medal at that point. But we have the tarp here just so that the liquids, water is going to spill. That litter has 9 rabbits in it plus mom, so 10 rabbits peeing in one spot is going to get saturated even with deep litter. We don't want that soaking into this floor and then stinking for the rest of forever. So we bought a tarp that was bigger because what we're going to do, how it's going to look, I'm going to bring you out here. How it's going to look, we have that there. We're going to have another one here, and then we're going to have 2 more in front of it. Now, only 3 of our does have litters, but our 4th doe, who is a Flemish giant, is getting a little antsy in her quarters and definitely wants some space. You can probably see her trying to fight out right now. Yeah, she's in that middle one right there, and she's a little diggy. You can see her peeking up there. So we need to give her a little more space. Then with this end of the tarp, this is a 12 by 10. I think it's just a 12 by 10. It might be. We're going to fold this up to provide a windbreak. We think we even have enough to fold over because this is not an insulated garage, so condensation does collect and then it drips down. So if the babies they can still get cold and chilled, especially if they're wet. We are anticipating some precipitation Thursday next week. So if we bought a tarp big enough on accident, then that's just a bonus, and we'll just fold it over the top and provide them a little that way. Now, one thing we are keeping an eye on while we're doing all this is the water bowl. Because the bedding is soft, the bowl isn't super stable in there, and we may add a brick so that the babies, it's not super low, and then the babies have less chance of falling into it. But you can see they're starting to swarm. They have never been out of the box this much.
Oh, someone's trying to sneak a snack.
They are starting to, let me zoom out, you can see they're starting to explore. They're 2 weeks old exactly today. We have all eyes and ears open. This group she's been our best mom by far. She lost 1 that first day, and everybody else has been great. We would have fostered, our Flemish had some issues growing out all 10 of hers. She had a couple runts, and we would have fostered her runts with this one, except for her litter is also large. So we ended up fostering them with our other first-time New Zealand, who we call affectionately Dummy, because her mothering instincts were not good right away. And we're very pleased that Dummy has managed to take care of hers. Because Dummy had 11, lost 6 in the first 2 days, because she, to her credit and our chagrin, we did not realize she was pregnant. And lesson learned, they can apparently still get pregnant even with 0 fall-offs, because we didn't try to mate. There was exposure. We watched it. There were 0 fall-offs, and so we moved on. And on day 30, good mama here, and Taco, one of our Flemish does, kindled, and lo and behold, so had Dummy. With no nest box. It's not as big a deal on deep bedding, but her kits were still cold. She did dig a nest in a corner, and then refuse a nest box for like 5 days. That was an interesting animal psychology study that I had to do to figure out how to get her to accept it. And then it was a litter box, and then it was a snack box, and then finally we figured out, oh, she wants all her corners. So as you can see, I'll show you. This is just a spare nest box that I keep ready because she has been a bit interesting. As you can see, I ended up giving her all her corners, so she has a horseshoe shape, and then I put the nest box there, and that was yesterday. She had been using the nest box as a litter box every single day, soaking the kits, pooping all over them, peeing all over them, and so far so good. But lucky for her, she's getting an upgrade to the penthouse suite as well. All of the does are getting this. So I don't know if you saw in here, at the very bottom, let me give you, we got some chunky babies, but we also have our 2 Flemish giant runts, and they're easy to tell because they're a different color. They're not just white. And always the runtus, this one has always had a long body, but never really had a belly. That one is our runt. Very tiny.
Just now opening their eyes.
Yeah, about a day behind the others, but has a belly and is growing. Used to be, when we put them in here, this one was the size of that one's head. So we call that progress. We're happy with that. All right.
Here's the chunkiest one.
Oh, and this is the biggest one out of all the litters. When we weighed them a week ago, this one, we call him Chungus, was 156 grams. He was about 10 grams bigger than the next biggest one. And you can see he is quite wide. Pretty sure it's a he. I have sexed him out, but they're still pretty young. And I'm a first timer, so who knows. But this is Dummy. I'm anticipating that she will be a good mama with her next litter and proper management. So exciting.